I know you guys are upset about politicians not living up to their oaths, not being ethical, lying about their motivations, even twisting what they're doing to try to trick you. We are so naive. We think there's it's an outrage. Rex, the politicians lied to us. Blinken said that they needed to do their job on the border. This guy's clueless, Rex. Blinken is so clueless. Don't they know that they're letting them in? No, I know. I know, man. Blinken with the border deal, when he says, well, we need to let our border guys do their job, they redefined what the job is. The job is now to import them. Let us stand there and just talk, because they know nobody can or will try to do anything. They know you have absolutely no leverage. Rex, we need to buy more guns and ammo. I heard this one, right? So a brother sent a text or something with the article, holy smokes, look what's going on down here. The FBI actually is warning us that hey, they're warning each other internally, get ready, something bad's going to happen if we just keep doing what we're doing down there. Yeah, I know. Dude, this is not and we're busy trying to figure out well, how can we explain to them that they can't do that? They're criminals. They're criminals. They do whatever they want. They're literally El Capone. El Capone was doing racketeering. He told me that if I didn't pay him my money that he'd come and do bad things. I know. What are you going to do about it? Well, that's just terrible. Well, I need to talk to El Capone and be like, hey, mister, that's right. That's not right. Yeah, man, El Capone freaking absolutely knows that what he's doing is not nice, not right, not proper, not welcomed, is not good for you. You see, you and most people in their naivety think that nice and all that stuff has anything to do with it. It does not. It's hard to actually digest the newfound revelation that maybe politicians aren't your best friends. And maybe mobsters have always been in charge of all geopolitical entities ever on the face of the earth, being logged all the way through time, space, all the way back to the beginning. You see, when humans are put in control of stuff that was delegated, that he was supposed to be our supreme one, no, well, we want a king. He's like, are you sure you want a king? Yeah, you see, all these other countries have great kings. We want those guys. They have fancy stuff, and when they walk into the room, there's this, this fancy, thing when they walk in, and they say, this is the king, and they have the staff. That's really cool. We want that. You don't want a king, I'm telling you. Well, I think we do. Okay. But I'm warning you, they will read the exposition in the instructions and in the Bible, warning us about the king. If we don't have him as a king, whose slavery are we under then, right? If you want a mighty one other than the creator of the universe, then you deserve whatever they say. You have to do what they said. Now they're your mighty one. So what's the answer? Well, what do you do? Rex, but we should fight him. No, that's actually, insofar as much as the actual pure principles of the matter, we agreed to have a mighty one, whether that be an elected mighty one, supposedly, or one that is coronated, or whatever word you want to call it, man. We agreed to the terms and conditions when we participated. And you can't be mad that they took away your quote unquote, your money. It's not your money. Their name is on it. Their name is literally on it. This is the property of the Federal Reserve Bank. I know. Rex, well, that's messed up. Well, then why did you do it? If you participate in Monopoly, then you have to play by Monopoly rules. If you want to play the game Battleship, then you have to play by the Battleship game rules. Even if you're losing, you're the one that played Battleship. Don't cry. You can't sink my battleship, man. Well, then don't play the game if you can't handle it. You know what the solution is? We are told to be separate from that stuff. Separated from that stuff. What does that mean? See, everyone wants to run around and invade other people. It's like continuous revolutions and tyrants. Revolutions, tyrants, revolutions, tyrants, revolutions, tyrants. And it all continuously always ends up in the same spot. When man is control, void of God, it goes in a bad direction. Power corrupts, and absolute power to someone who's not perfectly aligned will absolutely corrupt him. It will corrupt absolutely. Your proximity is your problem. The closer you are to depending on her systems, and when I say her, I mean mommy government, the nanny state, mommy Babylon, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. It's what it is. That includes most of people's institutions of faith as well, unfortunately. This stuff is absolutely not what he told us to do. So when we live by those things, then we're going to suffer the consequences. The solution is simple. Separate yourself from it as much as possible. Now, can you be fully separated? At some point, that will be what is thrust upon you. You will either have to choose to go back to the teats of mommy Babylon or be separate. Have you not read the book? At some point, you will not even be allowed to participate in commerce. At some point, you will not even be allowed to participate in commerce. So then what's the implied task? Depend on him. Well, how do you do that? Is that just spiritual feelings? No. That means you execute what he told you to do a long time ago. Get your own vineyard, get your own well, separate away from the world, don't have proximity to stupid, bad things. Live with your brothers and sisters who are on the same page. Be in proximity to people who love him. Support each other in a commune type system or whatever, and not communist, and not like you would think, but the brothers and sisters are supposed to offer mutual support. And is it impervious? Well, if you execute exactly what he said perfectly, yeah, pretty impervious. Why? Because you have ultimate to his advanced intelligence survival systems. That's how. Advanced intelligence. You see, we have this artificial intelligence infatuation, which is going to absolutely steer you straight into the jaws of the beast, probably. And then there's actual intelligence, which exists beyond the concrete, that's always been there. Ask Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent would know, man. Uncle Ted knows about actual intelligence. Do you know that the system that was put into place in the garden and elsewhere is designed to absolutely sustain you? We were joking the other day because we're learning about all the different weeds and stuff that are actually your medicine cabinet. You can ask Patriot Nurse about that, right? That's your medicine cabinet. Half that stuff that you're mowing into the ground. Like when I look up the plants and stuff, I call my bro. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? I'm burning weeds. Burning weeds? What weed? And I name him. He's like, bah! He's like pulling his hair out. He's like, that's your medicine cabinet, you idiot. That's your food. So we're out there buying gasoline, buying a machine made in a factory to destroy our natural resources and replace it with the most useless form of grass possible, and then maintain it, and we put all our water on there from a pipe that came from a factory in a city. There. Now I can go to the store and stockpile survival food, because that's a good plan. Huh? You literally mowed like dandelions. I've eaten dandelions for 15 years. They're delicious and nutritious. And you buy stuff at Walmart to kill the dandelions. Like, what? And like all the stuff that grows. There's like biodiversity that surrounds you that's literally like, well, I need to get to the pharmacy. Yeah, you go behind the barn over there. The pharmacy is kind of in between the trees and the barn. And if you're smart, you could learn more, which I want to do. And you could absolutely plant even more stuff that would be better pharmacy. And when I say, I'm not talking about illicit bad things. I'm talking about like herbs and what do you call those things? The stuff that grows that all those hippie type people always had. They had some of that stuff right, man. And then what do? You mow the grass. I could have fed this to a goat, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to feed it to a lawnmower, and then I'll import feed for my goat. What? Like, hilarious. We have been programmed with these 1950 advertisements where in a advertisement, they show the perfect house and the perfect yard with the white picket fence and the nice mowed lawn and the sidewalk. They're advertising your helpless situation where everything you need doesn't just come from within 100 meters of your house if you would just leave it alone. Nope. Got to destroy all that, pave it, put down AstroTurf. Now you have to buy it from us. What a great idea. And they sold you on how sexy that is. Sinister. If you could bring anybody from 100 years ago or prior, like take anybody from history going back and bring them on a time machine to 2024. And they'd be like, what the hell's going on around here? What are you people insane? You people are insane. One of the family, I got a big family, and they had a friend come over from Japan, from I think Hiroshima. And she was looking at all the ditches down the interstate highway, like, well, okay, so what are they growing there? Oh, that's potatoes. Wow, okay, what are they growing there? Okay, wow. And to them, the idea of these giant, huge swaths of land being, cultivated by giant machines is just so foreign to them. It doesn't make it, they don't understand. And they're like, well, who does the ditch? And they're like, well, we just mow that and throw it, like, what? I could feed my entire family with that, just the last 2 seconds of ditch we drove past, permanently all year round. You ask yourself, how did our ancestors that came to the United States, our forefathers, the pioneers, how did the homesteaders come out here and just survive? I learned that out here on this little place, I had the neighbors come over that have been here their whole life. They're pretty old, I think 85 or something. And they're sharp as a whip still, man. They're treasures, the neighbors. And they're like, oh, yeah, I remember like this. And they tell me the whole history of the place going back to like the 20s or whatever, because they remember hearing stories and whatever. They didn't have electricity out here until like 1948. Well, what the hell did they do before they had electricity? They didn't have water plumbed in either. No water, no electricity. And I am extremely rural. Like for me to drive in my car to town is an ordeal. This is extremely rural. Yet, there's a cozy little homestead out here. How the hell did those people survive? They had advanced intelligence survival systems in place called nature and them dropping seeds into the ground and then cultivating them. Nature has its own pest control mechanisms. I found this out last year. I'm in this war against badgers, right? Because they come and they kill all my cats. And I'm like, yeah, but I need cats to get all the rodents. And then I noticed the badger was killing more rodents than my cats were. I'm like, well, what am I doing? So now I have pet badgers and pet cats. Because they're really ornery. They're really angry when you try to flood them out with the garden hose. They don't like that. Like, what are you doing? I'm here to help you, man. I'm here to help you, Rex. I saw a mole in your trees. The badger's literally, I'm like, how dare you dent my perfectly nice yard? You're going to get it, mister. He's killing the underground rodents. I forgot. I knew that, but I forgot. It's like we're under a trance or a spell. We're all absolutely bamboozled by the advertisements of the mother of harlots that we need to live in these perfectly clean little boxes that have absolutely nothing in them except concrete and vinyl and stuff. And then what do? Buy the merchandise. Oh, how has she been made rich through all the merchandise of the world and the kings and the queens and their ships trading all the doodads and all the stuff and all the clothes and the frankincense and the gold and the grain and all the stuff and all the dainty things and all the wonderful things. They will cry from afar off when they see the smoke of her burning, for great is her torment. I'm quoting the New Testament, man. Like the whole Western world's going to be like, what just happened? But our stores, but our merchandise. Yeah. I know. What's the implied task of receiving that warning? Oh, so that's not going to be here forever. So maybe there's a really good story that you guys need to watch. I'll put it on Patreon, a link to it. But it's a story about how this guy in France didn't even notice the First World War because he was busy actually in his sphere of control. Busy within his actual sphere of control. The drama, the propaganda, didn't care. All the town's drama, the town completely went into a ghost town and just all this terrible stuff happened. He's like, what was it within his sphere of control? He realized. He's like, I'll enjoy my tobacco pipe. I'll sit here. And he just kept planting trees. For his whole life, World War II came. All these bombers flying by, didn't even notice them. Yeah, they came through and they burned down some of the trees for some kind of industrial deal. They needed the wood. And he's like, didn't even notice World War II. Just like right in the middle of it, but didn't even care. Like, I'm farming. And when I say farming, I even walked around with a stick poking dirt. Holes in this is a true story, poking holes in the dirt and just drops a seed in there. If he's growing walnuts, something like that, or I can't remember what kind of nut tree he's growing. Just poke it and throw a seed in there, kick some dirt on it. He'd look, okay, it looks moist here. That's probably a good spot. And just every day he'd plant, I think, 100 of them or 50 of them. He had a pocket full of seeds. And within his lifetime, he grew his own giant forest, converted this desert wasteland into a beautiful, lush forest full of food, full of meat, because the animals came there, full of birds to eat, full of all the stuff, fruit and nuts. And then they made it in a national park or something like, oh, wow, this forest just built itself. No, some old guy was focused on reality. So they tell guys like me all the time, Rex, what are you saying? We should just become disconnected from reality? Because I'm like, hey, man, quit smoking the pipe. Propaganda, inactivity, pride, and ego, right? The pipe. Quit smoking the pipe smoke. Rex, did you hear that there's bad things and the politicians are trying to make the bad things even worse? Yeah, I know the politicians are making... This is like not new news. And it freaking goes back to Caesar and all the kings and even the kings of Israel were that way. It was the same thing all throughout time. But when you're telling me to worry about something that's happening 5,000 miles away, and I don't even know any of these people, what is, I don't know, Zelensky and Trump and Biden going to come over and prevent me from watering my tree? Are they going to come over and help me dig up the potatoes, man? What kind of influence do they even have? They have zero leverage on my yard. And if they did, they don't care because I'm not doing anything else. I exist within I understand the critical TLOs that are in the Bible of property, gates, boundaries, jurisdiction, that which is right, survival systems of the game. I'm busy thriving through what supposedly horrific times. A friend of mine recently was pouring his heart out because so many guys are just super stressed out with the politics and with the world and the economy. I mean, they're really stressed out. A lot of guys are even like not making it in life almost, right? Doing bad things to themselves. And so my bro calls out and he's pouring his heart out like, man, these guys are stressed. All his employees that he has. And I'm like, you cut the cord. The digitally projected phone stuff is not their reality in their yard. They can thrive for 1,000 years with their children and grandchildren if they just choose to not be hypnotized by the propaganda. See, they would love nothing more than to make you truly believe that they are the center of the universe, and they're not. They are not the center of the universe. Now, short of a thermonuclear exchange, which, okay, I'll have to go in the basement for a couple weeks, then I'll come out, and then I'll just make sure I am clean and brush it off. You know what I mean? Short of that, those guys have zero bearing over my success or failure. That's all on me. Because my sphere of control is within my gates. And so I concentrate my energy there, right? Don't need to go out on some escapade outside my gates until I'm fully functional here, which is going to take me a while. And my children will take them a while. You think about Yeshua, right? Jesus walking around, Roman occupation. Atrocities and the politics was just as dumb. I don't know if you guys know this. They were throwing babies to alligators in Egypt. They were doing the same thing in Rome. They'd come through with army guys and do all kinds of atrocities. How many times do you see him walking around getting all political with the zealots? All right, people, we're the people of God. We need to tell those Romans to quit being Romans. Hey, Mr. Roman, I see you have, you need to do what we do. Like, he was trying to convince his own people to do what they're supposed to do first. And here's the order of operations. When we, his people, actually repent of our stuff and quit trying to make Zelensky and Biden and Trump and those guys repent. You're not even qualified until you do it first. So first we repent and gain control over our own stuff and become truly independent within our gate. You don't get to yell at people outside your gate until your house is squared away. That's going to take us all some time. I still have a ways to go. I can't afford to go outside my gates when I can't even, you know what I mean? My sphere of control is here. And once everything is thriving and I'm in this paradise and just overflowing with more stuff than I can handle, okay, now I can go down to the market and sell some of this or be a blessing to the world. But you can't just exit your gates when you don't even have your own stuff squared away. And you do not, if you rely on anything imported into your gates to survive. Electrons, fuel, machinery, feed, you know what I'm saying? Entertainment. If you have to import those things, you're not even independent. You know what I mean? So it's not going to work. You have zero leverage, right? And so I think that once we learn that and let go of that impossible to move weight and realize that your actual, it's like you've been handed a math test, but you grabbed every other math test from every class and think you have to pass those too. No, you have to worry about your own paper. You are only supposed to do your stuff. And then once you get that perfect, now that you get 100%, now you can go and help the kid next to you with his problems, right? But if you get a 60% on your test, what makes you think you're qualified to go over and help so-and-so? You're not, right? That's the concept. So hopefully you find this to be an incredible blessing. If not, maybe think about it a little more. Or maybe some of us just need to be clobbered. And the reality is we all know the story ahead of time. It's all in the book. The world will have to be absolutely subjected to its own folly on an extremely horrific level before the world will repent. That'll come in its own time. The sooner you snap out of it and realize that you can have what he called the kingdom of heaven right now here in a certain level, and there's stuff beyond, I know, but that's at least one of the levels. Now you can glow, and now you're that light that's worth putting on a hill that's actually emitting light for others to see their feet on their path. But if you don't have light glowing from you from having been free of that, then you can't help anybody, right? So the moral of the story is you have to allow him to straighten you out first. And then once you're 100% good to go, now you can help other people illuminate. Or you can reflect his light. Okay? Does that make sense? That's the typology repeatedly used in the book. All right. And if you want more of that, just meet us on Patreon. And we talk about that every day. Got a new formal training class coming up here. We're going through a second cycle pretty soon on some of the training. And I'll leave a link below. And also, if you just ever appreciated anything we've ever done here over the last, 10 plus years, I appreciate your support. And if you join us on Patreon, that's awesome. And I'm always about value exchange. I've done a lot of charity over the last 10 years. And so I do appreciate those who are able to support and find this to be helpful. So with that, Rex out.